Welcome again to Faces of Sterling. I'm Terry Ackerman, the Town Administrator in Sterling. This is a show each time where we profile members of the Sterling community who are making a difference and a valuable contribution to Sterling. Today our show is going to be focused on the potential new senior center. We have with us two guests, Maureen Cranston, the chairman of the Senior Building Committee, and Jack Chandler, the co-chair of the Senior Center Building Committee. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for being on the show. So I'd like to hear from each of you how you got involved in this project. Let's start with Jack.
Okay, I got involved with the original committee, or I shouldn't say the original committee, because I think this has been going on for about 10 years that the town's been looking at senior centers. But last year there was a site committee that the selectmen appointed to look for a site for the senior center. And I got on that committee because I really wanted to push the Sterling Inn as a site. But once we got in the committee and we started looking at buildings, we realized that that really wasn't a good solution for the senior center. And we'll probably talk a little bit about the site committee and what we came up with for a location. But that's how I got started in it. And then just to keep the continuity going between the two committees, I wanted to be on this committee too and hopefully see through to the building of an actual new senior center.
Right, and I understand you were involved in building a senior center in Holden as well.
Well, I was involved in Holden in the new public safety building that we built. And then I was also on the building committees in Sterling for the police station and the fire station.
Perfect. And Maureen, how did you come to be involved?
About 10 or 11 years ago, I lost my job, and I thought, well, now I have time. Let's start giving back to the community. And so I went to the senior center and volunteered, and I did their Meals on Wheels for a while, drove their bus, did special luncheons for them, etc. And then they were talking about a senior center and building one, and I thought, that's pretty exciting. And that was 10, 11 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
So we've, in Sterling, been talking about this for more than 10 years?
More than 10 years. They've been talking about it. There's been studies done. There's been different committees appointed. And it's just last year's site committee that really got the momentum going. And then when they were going to appoint the building committee, I go, okay, let's jump into this and get it going and actually see this thing to fruition.
Why do we need a new senior center?
You know, Terry, I'm not sure we even really have a senior center right now. I mean, they're located in the basement of the Buttrick building. They have an office. They have some other room that was turned into a kitchen, and then they have a big room. But there's a hallway down the middle of it that's part of the town hall. And, you know, I would say that's where they are, but I wouldn't even call that a senior center.
I agree with Jack. Plus, there's just no room. There's no room for their activities, doing their exercises. Your classes are limited. They actually use the selectman's office for some of their yoga classes, and even that is limiting. And studies have shown, well, Jack, you have that. The studies have shown about...
Well, frailty of seniors is, you know, the three main causes of it are lack of nutrition, lack of socialization, and lack of exercise. And this is something the senior center offers. They have the lunches, they do the Meals on Wheels. They have a number of different exercise programs, including yoga and all the latest things that people do. And the socialization, people can come and play games, meet with other people, and especially if you have seniors who are in their house, two of them, or maybe alone by themselves, this is a great place where they can go out, talk to other people, and socialize.
And what about a nurse? I think you have some nurse programs. Is there any space for a nurse right now?
She uses, once the lunchroom clears out, she uses a portion of the lunchroom, or she uses a little closet that's down.
Why aren't we having a community center? Why limit it to a senior center?
You know, this really goes back to the site committee. And when the site committee first started, we went back to the selectmen and said, okay, what's our objective? Is it a community center or is it a senior center? because there is a difference between the two. And if you have a community center, it involves much more than a senior center. And we needed to know that for terms of size. How big a building are we looking for? And size equals cost. So,
Right.
And also looking at sites, we would need a bigger site if it was a community center. The selectmen talked about it, and their final analysis was that what we wanted was a senior center. And that's not to say that the senior center can't be used for some community things.
Right.
But we don't have tennis courts, we don't have a swimming pool. You know, it's a much smaller
No beach.
building than it would be.
Right. What kind of community things can it be used for?
Well, we're looking at and have talked to the fire chief about using it as an emergency center in the case of another, October 30th storm.
A shelter?
A shelter. And also, we've talked to the town clerk about space for voting, especially in light of the fact that we might be looking at 3 precincts in a couple of years. And it'll be available for community events and functions. But primarily it needs to be a senior center. They're going to be the first and foremost. We also could potentially get knocked out of some grant monies if we went with the community center route, because it's a whole different ball game. And as Jack said, our task is a senior center, and that's what our focus is.
Tell us about the location that's recommended.
The location is Muddy Pond and Bootel Road, right on the corner there. It's adjacent to the schools, which fits very nicely into our intergenerational idea. People have asked why not the center of town. We're limited in the center of town. Some have suggested the 1835, not conducive to the needs of the seniors. And the site committee had looked into the 1835 and found that that would cost as much to renovate and bring up to code and add to as new construction.
The 1835 house would have to be brought up to current code, which would be expensive. It needs a lot of septic work. They're working on design for that, but they don't have prices or costs for it. It would need an elevator. And the other thing is parking in the center of town is very limited. And one of the things that the site committee talked about was making sure that whatever we came up with was fairly easily accessible to seniors driving, coming in, and for the senior van to drop people off. And that was an issue with that location.
Okay. So the location that you're recommending is on the corner of Bootel and Muddy Pond.
Right, and we actually went to town meeting back in May and got that approved. Just the location on so many levels. When you go down there and you look and you go into the site and you have views, over to Mount Wachusett and over Christoph's whole property. Plus, the seniors would be able to walk to the schools could come over to the senior center, do some of their programs, and that's important. That's keeping the seniors mentally stimulated, which is as important as the exercise and the socialization.
Jack, why did your site committee recommend new construction instead of reconstruction?
Well, the site committee looked at old buildings, new buildings or newer buildings, and vacant lots. And when we looked at location, one of the key things we were trying to find was town-owned land, so we wouldn't have to purchase land. But we also did look at existing buildings to see if there was a building we could use that we might be able to get the whole process done for less money. And if we could find a existing building in good condition, that might be cheaper than building a new building. But we looked at existing buildings in town. We looked at the Sterling Inn. We looked at Twin Oaks. We looked at J. Webster building, and all of those had some issue with them. Twin Oaks, really you would have had to tear the building down and rebuild it. And in addition to that, the site we didn't feel was very good. The main entrance to that is on Route 12, right near Pratt's Junction. It's very busy, and we really didn't want our seniors trying to pull in and out of that driveway. The Sterling Inn, and as I said before, that was my pet, as I wanted that to be.
Mine too.
And mine.
Yeah, I think everyone did, and when you drive into Sterling from West Boylston on Route 12, you got a lumber yard, you've got a gravel pit, a trucking company, you got the ice cream company, you got the empty Hebert's building.
Right.
There just isn't, when you drive in and when you come in farther, you get the gas station, the vacant gas station, and you got this, really what's a plight is the Sterling Inn, the grass is overgrown, and it just would be nice to have that be kind of a showcase building as you came into town.
So why not pick that?
We looked at the building, we went through it, and the roof's leaking, there's mold in the building. So by the time, we got some estimates, and by the time you put a new roof on it, cleaned it up, put an elevator in it, new construction would be cheaper than that.
Right.
And no matter how much you did to it, there'd always be something else that it would need down the road. So we looked at the different issues and decided that new construction on the final site was going to be the best way to go for a senior center.
Tell us about the work the committee has done so far.
This particular committee, really cool committee, has been very busy. We've actually got our septic plan designed. We have our A&R and a conceptual plan all done. We also had our perk test done back in July and did very well with those. And so now we're moving forward. We're looking to, before we can take any more steps, we actually need a project manager, which is an OPM, and an architect. And so we're headed to town meeting on November 13th and asking the taxpayers to support the new senior center so that we can go and hire our project manager, hire our architect, and move forward with a permanent design.
Great.
We've also been to all the boards. We went to the Planning Board, the Conservation Commission, Board of Health, and brought them all of our plans, asked for their input, their expertise. We're going to go to the Finance Board hopefully next month and get some info from them and what they'll need from us.
And the Capital Committee.
And the Capital Committee.
You've been to the Selectmen a couple of
We've
times.
been to the Selectmen a couple of times. We'll go visit them again before the town meeting.
We're trying to get all the boards involved from the beginning, keep them informed, so
Right.
that there are no surprises for them or for us.
Right.
We've also been in touch with the DCR. They own some land across the street, and we're right near the pond. So we've been in touch with them, and they've given us some input that we've used, and the engineers who've done the preliminary drawings have used.
The other thing too, and we've said it from the very beginning, there's 7 of us on the committee, and 7 people cannot do this alone. It takes the whole community to get on the bandwagon and get this done, and not prolong it any longer than it's been prolonged. So
Right,
that's
10
where
years
we're
is
headed.
long enough.
10 years is more than long enough. So and that's always been our goal. We want everybody that has the knowledge to get involved. It started with the site committee. They had some very good people with good input. The building committee, the same thing. You have some really good people on there with really good ideas and excellent input as far as where to move. And Whitman and Bingham have been crucial in doing this for us. So we're very excited about it. We're very excited about the progress. We've made more progress, and that's what I hear on the street all the time, is you guys have moved forward so much quicker than anybody that's ever tried this before. So we just keep wanting to move forward.
If citizens want to get involved or learn more information, where should they go?
Obviously, anybody is welcome to our building committee meetings, and we'll be more than happy to see them and get even more people's input. They can also go to the town website. They can read through our minutes, our agendas, and know where we're at. Or they can send an email to me, and I'll be glad to respond with any questions they might have.
I'd like to thank our guests today, Jack Chandler and Maureen Cranston, for being on the show.
Well, thank you very much. We enjoyed being able to tell everyone about what we're doing with the senior center.
All right, and asking everybody for their support and to come forward on November 13th.
Great.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And thanks to the folks at SLCT, Chris, Matt, and Jared. Thanks to the folks at home watching. I'm your host, Terry Ackerman. This is Faces of Sterling. We'll see you next time.